Hello and welcome everybody to the Safari Miata Build Series Episode 4, where today we're adding some bracing to the rear of the lifted Miata. The 1989 through 1991 Mazda Miatas did not come with rear bracing from the factory at the lower control arms like all the Miatas after which. So today, we're going to be adding some to it. Thankfully, instead of doing some fabrication, we have this beautiful rear chassis brace bar that I got off of Mazda Miata. The install is super simple. You just remove both these nuts from your eccentric bolts on the back of your rear lower control arms, pop the bar in, pop the nuts back on, and you're good to go. I did a little test fit to see what it looked like. No problem at all. Fits just fine. So I added some penetrating lubricant to break away that 1991 rust, and then I started making marks on my eccentric bolts to hopefully get the car back into alignment from where it was. The alignment's pretty bad to begin with, having the lift, but I was hoping not to have to realign the car. So, time to get started. Got the puppy up in the air, and that's where the fun began. Those bolts and nuts were just welded together with rust. I soaked it for about 24 hours. Still no luck. So, I employed some questionable tactics. Impact with a solo socket because I couldn't get past the exhaust. Let's just say things got really real fast. Yeah, don't try that at home, kids. That was stupid of me. So then I caved, removed the tires, and decided to pull out the old breaker bar. And unfortunately this happened. On the upside, the bolt snapped clean off. The downside is now I'm going to have to worry about realigning the car and spending money and buying new bolts. So I moved on to the other side. And as you can see, I gave it all the ungadugas. No luck at all. Yeah, I had to snap this bolt off too. But thankfully, I popped over my local O'Reilly Auto Parts, and my friend Mike over there set me up with some new eccentric bolts. Big shout out to you, buddy. You are a damn legend. I really appreciate it. So, with the new eccentric bolts in hand and $40 less out of my wallet, it was time to get back at work. So, I employed some more questionable tactics and began the journey of removing these bolts, albeit a little sketchy. I even employed some use of the adjustable hammer, but eventually, sure as sorry, I was able to pop the sucker out after some more questionable tactics, if you want to call it that. Yeah, I personally don't recommend using the threads against itself to get it to pop out, but it worked and the bolt was broken anyway, so I had to do what I had to do, but thankfully got it out. Unfortunately, the new hardware was a little bit different from the stock OEM hardware, which I can work around that, and it's way better than this rusted up 1991 junk. And honestly, I'm pretty happy I'm changing this stuff anyway, because with the way the rust is on that bolt, now that I know the way it is, I'd be a little sketched out to be driving around like that. So with employing some more questionable tactics, I jacked up the lower control arm to give me some room, getting the new bolts through the bushings, and I started to work my way through on that. It was quite the bear of a job to get those back through, but eventually, after a little proper force and motivation, we got it through. The driver's side was about as much fun as the passenger side, but thankfully, after a little proper force and motivation, got that through as well. I started to mount up the brace bar, and God, does that look snazzy. Hopefully that's really going to help out the rear end of this car and get rid of the little wiggle I have in the rear end at 55 miles per hour. It's pretty sketchy, especially when you're on some of the bigger highways where the speed limit goes up to 60 to 65 to 70. This car gets a little sketchy at speeds. So I began to tighten down the nuts by hand and get everything situated before I start playing with the alignment. The biggest fear I have with the alignment, as you can see, the shock bolts are rubbing up against the CV axle boots. So as I tightened everything down, I had to sit there and slowly play with the alignment. And I'm no mathematician, so to tell you the truth, I really didn't know what the hell I was doing with the alignment. So I decided to, fake it till I made it. Played with it the best I can, and thankfully was able to get everything off. But I'm going to tell you this, I'm definitely going to go take the car and get a proper rear end alignment done. So after all that, keeping safety in mind, I made sure to torque down the bolts to 55 to 75 foot-pounds. After working through that and praying to God it didn't snap another bolt, we were rocking and rolling. But of course, that still came with its fun challenges. With the old bolts on the way to the dump, it was time to get the wheels and tires back on and see what the alignment actually looked like with having those mounted on. You don't need an impact socket. Just send it. Just make sure you're torqued down when you're all done. Don't take my advice. And with the wheels and tires back on, I'm not going to lie, the alignment actually looks a little bit better than it used to. So I began the fun process of dropping the car back down on its wheels and took a look from there. And I have to say, the alignment almost looks better than it did before I tore into this thing. But still, for safety's sake, I'm going to take it in and get it realigned. And I checked the shock bolts and the CV boots. Nothing was touching. Everything looked great. I call that a job well done. Well, that is it. The rear brace bar is installed. I appreciate you guys tuning in and joining me on this absolutely janky journey doing this job. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it, and I hope you guys got some advice and things that can help you out. Personally, I don't recommend listening to me. I'm kind of an idiot. I hope I made you guys laugh, and I hope I helped you all out. Appreciate you all watching. Please like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like it, and consider subscribing. It really helps me out. And leave me a comment down below. Tell me what you guys thought about the video. Also, this is a new editing style for me. Usually I talk while I'm working on the car. This time I'm filming everything and narrating afterwards. Please, please, please let me know what you guys think about this new editing style. If you enjoy it, I'll keep doing it in the future. If you don't enjoy it, I'll go back to the old ways, but this way is definitely a lot easier for me in post-production. So I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Y'all have a good one.